Hey gamers, Rob from ZborGaming, and we are back with another weapon guide. So today we are looking at the Rytec AMR, which is the new sniper rifle just released for Season 4 of Modern Warfare. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the AMR has to offer. So it has a max level of 34, and in order to unlock this, you're going to need to complete a challenge, which with the release of the weapon also came Shoot House 24/7 and Shipment 24/7, which should help you unlock it fairly easy. In order to do this, you need to get 3 quickscope kills using sniper or marksman rifle in 15 different matches. So yeah, you're going to have to grind a little bit to get it, but on the most part, this is fairly easy to do. So it does have a 50 caliber round, and it's a pretty interesting weapon. It has a lot of sort of unique attachments here. As far as the camo requirements, these are standard within the sniper rifle class. And as far as the base stats, it has a base range damage of 61 meters. Will do 214 damage to the head, 112 to the chest, 102 to the stomach, and 91 to the limbs. Magazine size of 5 bullets with 10 in reserve. A fire rate of 165 RPM. An ADS speed of 701 milliseconds. Does have a 0 time to kill to the head and torso and 364 milliseconds to the limbs. As far as your base reload time is about 5.5 seconds. If you still have bullets in the magazine, it will be 309. And if you have bullets in the magazine with sleight of hand, it'll be 1.85 seconds. So make sure that when you're reloading, you at least have 1 bullet left in the clip, and that'll substantially decrease that reload time. As far as all the attachments, we have them listed here with the unlock levels, and I'll touch on a few of the specialized attachments here on the next page. A few loadout suggestions on here, which I will touch on later in the video. If you want to see this infographic as well as the majority of the other stuff that I'll present in this video, head down to the description below. I'll have a link to this page on my website where you can go ahead and take a look at some of these images in more detail there. As far as the new ammunition that this gun has, it does have some explosive and thermite ammunition. So they've got a little bit different damage profiles here. The explosive will do 137 damage all around, with some splash damage of about 40 if you're close. However, with both of these, that rate of fire is decreased to about 94 RPMs. Now, the thermite rounds do 192 damage to the head, 151 to the chest, 141 to the stomach, and 130 to the limbs. Now, as far as taking out infantry, it's okay. I don't necessarily suggest using the explosive or thermite ammo. These are probably a lot better at taking out kill streaks or vehicles. Part of the reason is you get substantial added recoil using these. So after that first shot, if you don't hit them, you're really going to have to recover here to try to hit that second shot. The other thing I found while using the explosive or the thermite rounds is that if you're trying... So you can see here that the explosive rounds unlock at level 10. I had equipped them at level 11, and I played 2 games and never got any additional experience points because the kills actually, I think, count for grenade kills or something else. So you don't actually level the weapon up. It's similar to what I found with the crossbow as well. Having the explosive bolts for some reason does not give you XP towards the weapon. So if you want to experiment with these, I suggest doing it after you've maxed the weapon out. So let's keep going on here. As far as some loadouts, I'll touch on these loadouts a little later in the video, so I won't click on them here. Some of the advanced stats, it's basically the gun is a 1 or 2 shot kill due to in core game modes, that is. The drop off range, again, 61 meters or over 61. Bullet velocity is about 652 meters per second. And again, we mentioned the fire rate. ADS speed. Now, I will mention here, if you guys question where I get some of my stats from, the majority of all my statistics I get from Mutant Media. They have an awesome app called Hey Potato. But I do occasionally pull, like in this case, some of my ADS speeds from Exclusive Ace. So they were both very close on the ADS speed. I decided to go with the longer ADS speed, the 701, as opposed to Mutant Media, I think, had a 679. So there was about a 1 or 2 frame difference there. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. I will have a link in the description below to that Hey Potato app, which I highly suggest you guys download. The recoil pattern you'll see is vertical, and it does kick to the right quite a bit too. As far as movement speed, it's about 251 meters per minute. ADS movement speed is 61.5 meters per minute, and both of these are very slow. In fact, I think the ADS movement speed or strafe speed is the slowest in the game for all the weapons. As far as some of the special attachments, we've got 3 different barrels, the 7 straight, the 448 Dictator, and the XRK Harbinger, and I'll touch on those a little bit more when we get into the recoil profiles for each of those barrels. I already talked about some of the ammunition here. It does, as far as bullet velocity, heavily decreases almost half, which will make those moving targets harder to hit at range. Decreases that fire rate, increases the recoil, and again, you'll see that extra recoil here in a little bit. Last unique attachment is it has a unique suppressor, the AMR suppressor. This will increase your bullet velocity. It gives you about a 10% damage range increase, adds that sound suppression. Pretty substantial impact to your ADS speed. And again, all of these attachments here, except for the Dictator, have a big penalty to your ADS. 5 frames, 14 frames. It doesn't, I don't mention it here, but I mention it later. You have a 6 frame penalty, which isn't identified in the description with both the ammo, and you have a 7 frame penalty on the suppressor. So keep that in mind, and we'll touch on that on the next slide here. So here are your ADS speeds. If you're looking to speed up the Rytec AMR, you have the Dictator barrel, the tack laser, the Stovall tack wrap, and the stipple grip tape. You also have a couple optics at your disposal, the Scout Combat, the VLK, and the Cronin. All these other attachments here will slow down that ADS speed, and some of them quite substantially. 6 frames, 14, 5, 7. So take that into account. Now, again, all this data here for the ADS speeds I got from Exclusive Ace. He's also a great source of information for Modern Warfare if you haven't found him yet. As far as the attachments that will affect your recoil, the tank brake is very good. It helps with recoil stabilization and aim stability. The suppressor really doesn't have any impact on your recoil or aim accuracy. The 7 straight and the Harbinger will help your recoil. The Harbinger has a substantial impact, which you'll see here in a little bit. And then your rubberized grip tape. As far as your recoil at different ranges, I've got that on here, but I'll show you in more detail on a following slide. So here are some of the damage profile for the AMR. In hardcore modes, it's going to be a one-shot kill all around. In base multiplayer or Warzone enemies with no armor, it's going to be a 1 or 2 shot kill. And for fully armored targets in Warzone, the max is going to be a 3-shot kill. Now, I did watch Exclusive Ace, and some of the other sniper rifles, you do have that 1-shot headshot potential, but that is not the case with the Rytec right now. It will take 2 shots to the head in order to kill the enemy. So, with that, let's move on. And this is some damage range comparisons that I did to the other sniper rifles. So you can see here, it does have a lower damage range. Now, Ace had this at around 70 meters. Mutant Media had it at 60. I went with the Mutant Media damage ranges here. Again, it's going to be 60 to 70 meters. Keep that in mind. So if we look at the different barrels based off of me using the base of 61, the 7 straight will have a substantial increase to that damage range. The Dictator and the Harbinger barrels both decrease that quite a bit. And then in Warzone, again, you can see here it's going to be a 2 or a 3-shot kill. And these are the time to kills respectively, 364 and 727. So if we go ahead and take a look here, you can see it does have a very slow ADS speed, about 3/4 of a second, a lot of idle sway, which you can see right now, and you can see the heavy recoil vertical and to the right, and the about 5-second reload time. Now, if you already have a chamber in the barrel when you reload, you will not get that extra sequence where he essentially goes and sequences the bolt there. So here is essentially what your recoil profile looks like at different ranges. So at 18 meters, you get that heavy kick up and to the right. At 50 meters, you can see that you have a very substantial recoil. Pretty much, you're going to have to scope out and scope back in if you want to hit your target. Now, if we take a look at the muzzles and the rubberized grip tape, here you can see the base recoil at 25 meters. You can see the tank brake has a substantial improvement to your recoil, probably about 30 to 40%, which is quite good. It's actually probably the second best attachment you can equip as far as recoil control. The suppressor really doesn't seem to have much of an impact at all. And then the rubberized grip tape maybe gives you a little bit, not a whole lot of recoil control. If we take a look at the barrel attachments now, this is where you see the substantial change. Now the 7 straight, what it does is it looks to take away a lot of the right to left. You can see that the shots go a little more vertical here as opposed to kicking as far out to the right. So that does cut quite a bit of your side to side recoil out. The Dictator, you can see, did add about a 10 to 15% on the recoil. And then your Harbinger barrel, substantial improvement to the recoil here, especially with the vertical recoil. You do get a little bit of the right to left, kick to the right, but as far as vertical recoil, this basically helps turn the gun into almost more of a marksman type rifle. Now if we take a look at the ammo attachments, you can see here that the base recoil 5 shots was right around here, and you can see that the 5 shots with the explosive and the thermite were about 30% over that. So it does add quite a bit of extra recoil if you have the explosive or the thermite rounds on. And then here you only have one underbarrel attachment, which is the bipod, and you can see here that when you're crouched or prone, it does offer some recoil control as it states in the description. So the main reason you would want to use the ammo types here, the explosive or the thermite, is probably more to destroy kill streaks or vehicles. And so over here on the right, I've got the description here. You can go ahead and pause the video if you want, take a look at this. But it's very effective against UAVs, counter UAVs, personal radars, as well as ATV and TAC rovers. If you're looking at getting VTOLs, juggernauts, things like that, don't even bother. You're better off having a rocket launcher. So if we take a look at, and that's basically, as far as recoil control, all the attachments that are going to help you out. So if we take a look at a couple various loadouts that I put together, which I had on that front page, the first thing I wanted to try was a no recoil setup. So I used the bipod, the XRK Harbinger, tack laser, rubberized grip tape, and the XRK Mastodon stock. And you can see we got a very good recoil profile. This will have a very slow movement as well as ADS speed, but you'll be right on target. And this is good for clearing lanes out, especially given the one-shot kill potential. You could clear 3 or 4 enemies out quite fast with this setup. But keep in mind your mobility and your ADS speed are going to be very limited. As far as Warzone, this is the setup we have here. You can see that you do get a little bit of recoil improvement, a little less of that side-to-side kick due to that FTAC 7 straight barrel. The fast ADS setup, I know people like running all the fast ADS, but in this case, your recoil is going to be absolutely horrific. Your first shot is going to jump substantially. Here was the 3rd shot, and the 4th shot on Candor Hideout actually went outside the building, which is why I didn't even bother here. The 4th and 5th shots were so far off. You basically have to hope you get that one shot, scope out, scope back in. But by that point, if you run into more than one enemy, you're pretty much going to be dead. So as fun as it is to try to use a fast ADS setup, you're probably going to most likely get slaughtered. As far as the explosive payload setup, or the kill streak king, however I call it, again, this one uses that explosive ammo. You can see here too that you have a really substantial recoil kick. And again, for anything over maybe 10 to 15 meters, you're going to have a hard time if you don't hit that first shot right on target, following up accurately with a second shot. So this is better used at distance, at range, going after kill streaks, vehicles, or a long-range sniper. So again, just sort of have more pictorials of the various loadouts. This is for those players that want that low recoil marksman rifle type setup. Go ahead, take a look at this loadout. Again, we don't have that tank brake on because the XRK Harbinger barrel actually blocks the muzzle, so you can't use that barrel with the suppressor or the tank brake, so keep that in mind. If you want a Warzone type setup, this is a good suggestion. You could take off this thermal sniper scope, put on a tac laser if you want, or add sleight of hand. Whoops, let's go back here. If you want a fast ADS setup, these are all the attachments that will give you that fast ADS, but keep in mind your recoil is going to be really, really bad, so you better be spot on target with that first shot. Lastly, here we have the explosive ammo build, and again I put that table on here to give you an idea of how much damage it does to the various kill streaks or vehicles, because this is really where this build out and the loadout is more effective. So with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I got one last loadout here I wanted to touch on, and the reason I threw this one up here and didn't mention it before is because this is actually one of the loadouts I find to be most effective with this weapon. I use that XRK Harbinger, but then I throw on all the other attachments I can for fast ADS speed to help offset that 14 frame difference. So this gives you a pretty balanced ADS speed and much, much better accuracy, so you can put bullets on target a lot faster otherwise. So try this build out. I sort of threw it in here at the end because for those of you who have watched this far into the video, it's sort of a special treat for you guys. So hey, with that, that's all I got left. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit that thumbs up, hit that bell notification, and I'll have more videos coming out soon.